What is going on, everybody? It is your boy Nothing But Skills, and today we're going to be talking about Division 1.8.3 and whether this patch 1.8.3 has led to the decrease in players in the division. I'm going to tell you right off the bat that may not be the case. Like, some of you love to criticize the developers for this patch and people not playing the game as much, but that really isn't the case, guys. Let's take a closer look at what led up to 1.8.3, the patch that killed Striker and nerfed the support station drop and pop. I'll agree with you, both those nerfs hurt solo players the most, right? Because team builds are still really good in PvP. Now, solo player wise, it's very tough, and I totally agree with you guys. It's still really easy for a good 4-man team to dominate a server. The critics of PvP now will say that Nomad, Pred, D3, Reclaimer are the only builds people run. Others will say that build diversity in 1.8.3 is way better than build diversity was in 1.8.2 when all we saw was Striker, Striker, Striker. Others will say 1.8 was better when we had Striker, Pred, and Nomad before the nerf of Nomad in a group and the added counter to Predator's Mark Bleed with Adrenaline and the support station. Now, I will tell you, before 1.8 we had 1.7. and during that time we had a game that was on its way down. I know this for a fact because that is when I started content creating. I was on my way out of the military and I finally had time to content create, so I took a chance. When I started content creating is when most content creators weren't putting up content for the division. Most content creators took a break. They were uploading once a week, maybe once a month, and I saw an opportunity to create content knowing I would have to add more games to my channel later on. Lucky enough for me, the division announced 1.8 and my channel caught attention of a lot of division agents. So once 1.8 dropped, my channel went from around 10,000 subscribers to 57,000 subscribers where we sit today. But the subs have slowed down over the last 2 months, and I knew this was going to happen. Even the views have slowed down for Division 1 content because of the announcement of Division 2. But back to 1.7, where player counts were already on the decline. People were playing other games, they were trying other games. We just had the hardcore fan base who loved the division and kept playing it, but the player count was still on the decline. When 1.8 came out, we had so much free content with Resistance, Skirmish, all the new gear sets that were coming out, legendary missions. Content creators started talking about 1.8, reviews started coming out about Division 1.8, and before you knew it, we had a surge in the player count for the division. We had so many new agents trying out the game for the first time. Division went on sale. There were sale for the DLCs. So there was so much to do for new agents who had just tried the division for the first time and had came from other games. In particular, Destiny 2, which had flopped big time. I know this for a fact. I have a bunch of friends who came over for Destiny 2 and tried out the division for the first time in 1.8. I had thousands of comments of agents telling me that they gave up Destiny 2 to come try out the Division 1.8 because they heard all the really good reviews and they found my channel and they stayed subscribed to me, and that's when my channel started to blow up. I had a lot of Destiny 2 players watching my content to get better at the game. The game was in a good state player wise, right? We had a lot of players playing the game. PvP was always packed. Last stand matches took like 30 seconds. Skirmish matches were fast. DZ was always packed. There was just a lot of people playing the game at that time. A lot of farming going, so you would always find extractions going off in the lower DZs and the higher DZs. It was a great time to go rogue. It was a great time to PvP. Now, as 1.8 was out for a little while, people started complaining as more agents got more gear sets. So a lot of agents had 6-piece sets versus before they didn't have full sets. We saw a lot more Nomads, we saw a lot more Predator's Mark, we saw a lot more Strikers. And the biggest complaint was Nomad in a group shouldn't be able to proc multiple times. And then Predator's Mark. Everybody said that there was no kind of counter to Predator's Mark. There was no skill involved. There was no way to really counter it. The support station didn't stop the bleed. Adrenaline didn't stop the bleed. And then we received the nerf. So we had Nomad and Predator's Mark, the first two gear sets, nerfed. Then 1.82 came out and everybody was running Striker. It was Striker, Striker, Striker. It was nothing but Striker in 1.8.2. That was the meta. That was what everybody was running. People started complaining about it. People started crying about it. And before you knew it, they finally nerfed Striker in 1.8.3. And now here we are today at 1.8.3. Division 2 was announced at E3. releasing in March of 2019. Then we had all these new games announcing new content. We had Destiny 2 DLC Forsaken was announced. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was coming soon. Red Dead Redemption was coming out in October. The release of Battlefield was coming out. Fortnite was at an all-time high. The list goes on for every single game that was being announced, and it was going to be a big year for 2018. And then, not to mention, when Destiny 2 DLC Forsaken finally dropped, it was a hit. It grabbed a huge amount of its player base back, and a huge amount of their player base was in the Division. Now, with Forsaken being such a great DLC package, they all went back, and that is why you're starting to see less players doing PvE, less players in the DZ, whether it's on PC, whether it's on Xbox or PS4. You're starting to see a lot less players. Even in Last Stand, I'm running into the same guys over and over again because there's just not a lot of players playing the game at this time. We might have a couple thousand playing. I don't know the exact numbers, but those numbers have to be down. Now, more about the Division. The Division is 2.5 years after launch. As of right now, no more DLC will be released. And for PvEers, that means nothing new for them to grind. With so many global events coming out, they have every single gear set. They've played every single global event. There's nothing really keeping them there to grind. So we're losing a lot of the PvE player base who doesn't go in the dark zone really. They just play PvE and then they leave. And then for the hardcore PvP players who are still playing, well, it's starting to get repetitive due to no additions to the DZ. The DZ is the same DZ we have. And then there's no new maps or game modes for Last Stand or Skirmish. It's the same thing over and over again. So you really get nothing new. And that's causing a lot of the players to try other PvP games, right? You can't have a PvP game that doesn't bring new maps, that doesn't expand the DZ, that doesn't change the game modes up, because sooner or later people will stop playing a game, right? Because it just gets repetitive. You can only play a game for so long. In 2.5 years, we got to give credit. Division sucked us in for 2.5 years, and you got to give it out to them. They brought us a lot of content, and it was a good 2.5 years. And I saw this decline coming about 3 months ago. I knew it was coming. I had a feeling that once Division 2 was announced, the amount of content that they're going to bring for the Division 1 was going to slow down a lot. That alone would cause me as a content creator to pull back on as much content as I'm bringing, because all the builds, all the tutorials, all the reviews had been done for Division 1. And that is for every single content creator I see out there. The number of views are going down, the number of new subscribers that you're gaining is going down, because not that many people are still playing the Division. And we still get a couple new guys here and there, but it's not as big as it used to be, and not that many new agents are still coming in. Once I came to this prediction almost 3 months ago, that's when you might have noticed that I came out with H1Z1 and I started adding more new games to my channel. And I will continue to add, for the fact that I want to keep growing. I want to keep growing all the way up to Division 2. To grow, I'm going to have to cover bigger games, so that way I can bring in more of a bigger audience. And then hopefully when I do cover Division 2 content, all of those people plus all of the agents that I have watching me from Division 1 will continue to watch me there, and then I'll just continue to grow. And that is my long-term goal for this channel. I want to continue to grow, and I want to continue to bring you more content, more games, and that's all I can really hope for while I still cover Division 1. So maybe we should look at ourselves as a community, and maybe we're the reason that the Division is in the state that it is, from crying over gear sets to saying one set is OP, to the developers listening to us and having their nerf sets because all we do as a community is complain. So I hope you now understand that the player base decline is due to a lot of factors, and blaming a patch as the single sole reason is nonsense. I'm glad we're getting a sequel to this game, as I think Division 1 has more issues that just one patch can really fix. I believe that the developers realized that they knew to fix Division, they needed to release a sequel and to do it right. And I feel that the Division 2 will be 100 times better than Division 1 and will be talked about as the game of the year. Only time will tell. Until then, I will keep you updated with all the Division 2 news you need to know. Thank you guys again for all the support over this past year, and it's been one hell of a ride. Thank you guys again, and remember, if you're new to my channel the first time, hit that subscribe button. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like, and let me know what you guys think about patch 1.8.3 and the current state of the game. But for now, I think it's time to wrap this one up and ride off into the sunset. As I always say, if you don't see me in the dark zone, if you don't see me in Last Stand, if you don't see me in Skirmish, it's only a matter of time. Nothing but skills out.